Hello guys, how you doing? This is an interview I did with Jerry Cantrell back on 4/18/98. Never one to shy away from voicing his opinions. Jerry's an amazing guitar player, amazing songwriter, and here he tells you all about what he does. So check it out. Bye.
I mean, when and why, I guess, more specifically, did you first start thinking about doing a solo record? I mean, have you always been one of these band guys? Like, I always wanted to be in a band, or were you always?
No, I've always been a band dude. Man.
You were always a band guy.
I dig the teamwork.
You do.
Yeah, I like working in a team much more.
You do. So
I'm just kind of starting off on this one. I'm kind of figuring it out as I go on. There are some cool things, and there are other things that are a little more crazy and demanding. Like this process, for instance, and this is just one, but it's just you. You know, there's not like a whole band to take care of it. You know, and but also on the other hand, you know, you have a lot of freedom, and with a lot of freedom comes a lot of responsibility.
Absolutely.
You know, so yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, were any of these songs written for Alice?
I think Heard a Long Time and Settling Down were around since the Alice in Chains record.
Really?
And I think we actually tried both of them, but they just didn't end up working.
Yeah.
You know. And
I mean, certainly not the arrangements you've got going. I mean, Settling Down specifically.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I don't know, man. I mean, the cool thing with Alice is like I think we were able to do a lot of shit that maybe people didn't expect us to do, and we were always down for trying something outside of where people maybe thought we were, or even where we maybe thought we were.
You
know?
were? I mean, you really got slammed for that?
No, I don't think we got slammed for it. What I'm saying is, I think we were.
Oh, you like.
I think we always welcomed that kind of a thing.
Right.
I think it was pretty well accepted. I mean, with Jar of Flies and subsequently people digging back to Sap. You know, I mean, those were two completely different directions than Facelift and Dirt, which is where the majority of people knew us from. You know, that fucking heavy, dark shit. So, so I think we made some moves early on, and I think that will pay off later by giving us freedom to kind of get a little wackier and kind of do stuff. And then as the later records went on, you know, you can see a lot more of that exploration. You know, and it was accepted. You know. I mean, there's definitely were some people who were like, fuck that, man, dirt rocks, you know, I don't want to hear that fucking acoustic shit, you know. There were some of those, and then there were others who were like, fuck, I like your acoustic stuff better than I like that heavy metal shit, you know. So looking back on it all, it's just pretty incredible, you know, that, we did some good work, man, and we did some diverse work. You know, I don't think we ever really stayed in a hole. We always changed a little bit. We always moved ahead, and it's something I'm really proud of, you know.
So then that's the main memory that I'm not saying that the band is gone, but at this point that's the memory you have of all that work.
That's my memory. I mean,
it's not.
I don't base our value or our validity on rumors or stories or press. You know, drugs, inactivity, fucking rock casualty, those things. I don't think about that shit. It sells a lot of papers. That's cool. What I think about is, you know, we got into this business. We got into this thing as four kids in a rock band from Seattle. We were playing bars in Seattle. We're a bar band turned fucking into what it is now, you know, and that is incredible. You know, that is the fact. You know, the other stuff is peripheral.
Right.
You know, even though it has meaning and that maybe, you know, it's definitely well chronicled. You know, that is not the bulk of what this is about or what it was. You know, and it never has been and never will be for me. You know, you know, it's like.
So as many times as you say it, do you think people will?
I don't care. I don't care if people don't dig it, man.
I mean, believe it is what I'm saying.
Well, I don't care if people believe it or what. I'm not doing this to fucking please anybody else but myself and the guys in the band. So, you know, speaking from Alice and speaking of this record, I'm really unconcerned with that. You know, it's not fun to read that shit. It's not fun to deal with your family bringing you shit like that, you know, and your grandmother gets a magazine talking about fucking heroin addiction and shit like that. It's definitely not a great thing, you know, put yourself in somebody else's shoes.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, if that was happened to you, you know, I don't think you'd be too happy of a person either at that particular moment. But do you base your your worth and your value on what other people think of you, or do you believe in yourself? You know, that's really what it comes down to. You know, my view of myself does not, that stuff doesn't weigh too heavy. You know, it's there. I've been through some of that shit. I've been through that stuff. I've dealt with it, constantly reminded of it. So it is a little sliver there. But as far as me as a person, how I deal with things, and I can say the same for the other guys in the band. You know, it's a much smaller part of life, and it's a much lower on my scale of important things. So.
Yeah, I understand. So going out to do this solo record, I mean, does the writing take on a different kind of an emotional level? In other words, you're writing all the music, I'm assuming all the lyrics and the changes, and as opposed to Alice, I mean, the stuff,
Sure.
you know,
I think
and singing it, obviously.
that was a lot different, and I think I was really aware of the fact that I did not want to do something that was forced, or maybe try to do something that I was out of my character or range or whatever, if you will. I think I was really concerned with letting it develop slowly and letting it develop naturally, and it is a new thing. So it took a lot of work, this record, for me.
Really?
You know, it really did in a lot of ways, and I'm very thankful for the fact now, even through the setbacks and artistic and times where you just hit the wall, you know, artistically, like, fuck, is this shit good, or does this suck, or whatever, you know.
You would say those kinds of things?
Sure, I think any artist does, you know. You know, sometimes, I mean, you have to question yourself, you know. You have to, I mean, if you care at all for what you do, you've got to have those feelings about it, you know. I mean, you never know how people are going to react to anything that you put out. Any time that I have tried to do that, I've been completely proved wrong. So, you know, I mean, I really have, and so really, what you have to do is create a record that you love. You know what I mean? And the way for me to do that was to go about it the way I did with this record, and that was kind of really taking some time and letting it develop on its own. But I think on a personal level, like you said, or an emotional level, I think there is a certain area that I write from, I guess, and it's no different than writing for Alice. I write how I write. You know what I mean? The process is no different, and the area that I draw from when I write is no different from Alice or with this. I don't really consider it different. I just write, you know. What makes it different, maybe in Alice, is having the other individuals in the band, tempering ideas that you bring in, or adding to, or expanding on something that you already had. Now that's definitely different than in this situation. Although Sean, who did this record with me, and it's really great having him there for familiarity, but that's a smaller thing. But there's an unspoken thing there, a connection, a bond, and he's a good soundboard too, you know, to bounce things off of. So I had some of that too. But as far as like what you're used to doing for 11 years and then trying to do something else, it's different, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean, what did you want to say with the record?
I don't know if I really wanted to say anything. I wanted to make
lyrically, where do these ideas come from? I mean, obviously they're parts of your life. But I mean, are they books? Is it film? Is it relationships? Is it?
Could be any number of those things, you know.
Were they easy for you to write lyrics?
Yeah, it's been. I mean, it wasn't any easier or harder than it's ever been. It's a process, you know. I mean, sometimes things come really quick and easily, and sometimes you got to work your ass off for something, you know. And usually it's like the most simple thing that you got to fucking work your ass off, and something complicated just fucking falls together. It's a bizarre thing. It's a trippy thing, life, you know. Shit that should be so simple is so fucking difficult, and vice versa, you know. Where a lot of this stuff came from is just, you know, it came from pretty close to home, you know, around me, or things I felt, or things I went through, you know, or experienced, you know, growing through life, you know.
So are you this closet romantic then?
Closet romantic. That's good. Would you like something to drink?
No, I'm good.
Closet romantic. I miss not being with somebody, I guess. Intimate, you know, close. I think I think that there's some songs on there that deal with a breakup of a relationship. There's quite a few on there. Yeah.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there's quite a few on there, and there's some situations and experiences I went through. So I wrote about how I felt about them.
I mean, on some levels, do you think that people would have been more open with this had Alice in Chains never happened and Jerry Cantrell, the Still Waters, came out with Boggy Depot? Nothing to be measured against.
Well, it's still early to tell. I mean, there's been some horrible reviews, and there's been some really great reviews, and there's been a lot in the middle of the road. But reviews are not what I base my. I don't think that a record is great or bad because of a review. I mean, I read reviews about movies or albums, and it usually has nothing to do with how I feel about it. And generally, that's one person's opinion for that publication. I think the real critics are the fans, so that really remains to be seen, how people relate to it. That's still in the early stages, and that's really the only critics I give a fuck about anyway, so, I mean, really. So, number one, how I feel about it, and I feel it's a good record, and I feel I feel that I grew a lot, and there's a lot of cool shit there. And number two, we'll see how people respond to it. I think coming out of a band like Alice, that we've had such a strong career with music, and continues to be an entity, even though we seem to not be. You know what I mean? Even though that is the case, it still seems to be valid, and people still dig it, and that's really what you strive for, And to have achieved something like that is a really cool thing.
Absolutely.
But to come out of that, there's going to be a lot of people that just can't let go of that, or will not see it in the light maybe that it should be seen in, just on its own. But I don't really. I think it's just a natural thing. I mean, if I continue to do this, hopefully people will get used to it. But we'll see how it goes. It's all new right now, and really all it's about is making music and having fun doing it.
I mean, say the last 5 years, like even 10 years. I mean, have you seen a change in the role of the guitar player and the role of guitar in music? I mean, MTV.
Well, I think that there used to be a lot more kind of guitar heroes. Your Eddie Van Halens and your guys like that. And when I was growing up, there was a lot of really talented. I guess your lead players, your more pyrotechnic kind of players, that just fucking can rip your face off. Technically really proficient guys. I think it's definitely gone a lot more songwriting than individual merit, I guess, within a band. I don't think I've seen that in a while. You know what I mean? Like a guy that's just like, that guy is fucking badass. It's like he really stands out that much, and that I mean, our music, if you notice, I don't really wank off a whole lot either, as far as soloing.
You don't. Your solos are more like these.
But it's kind of more added to the song, and that's the kind of school I come from. But that's all. I also took a few classes in your Yngwie Malmsteen and Eddie Van Halen 101 too. I mean, I had my days in that too, and I enjoy that stuff. As early Van Halen, listening to the tone that he had and the just the way he played. Nobody played like that, and there hasn't been a guy that would fucking change music like that in a long time, as far as a guitar player. And I really cite him as like a guy that like a fucking Page or a fucking Hendrix, a guy that's like, wow, that's the guy, what I mean? To me, those are like some of my favorite and most guys I really respect.
Really?
And I've never, to this day, I've never heard anybody sound like him, but what I'm saying, in this decade of music, I haven't really seen many guys that really kind of are of that stature to come around and just do something that amazing with their tone, their playing, and the band they're with. I haven't seen that happen in a while.
So you never really wanted that thing then, that mantle?
I did early on.
Cloak?
Sure, I did early on. I wanted to be up there, fucking doing my solo and fucking all that kind of stuff. But then I got into this band, and I always came from. I kind of came from the dual guitar bands. I really like the dual guitar bands, and I liked a lot of British metal bands. I like the fucking Maiden. I like Maiden, Scorpions, Judas Priest, Thin Lizzy, and even like Leonard Skinner. I like dual guitars, and I kind of started off playing rhythm. So I like rhythm, you know.
I mean, honestly, that's I think that's the biggest part of your playing is your rhythm stuff, really.
Right.
That's how you do that stuff.
Right.
I mean, that's
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really where
Yeah.
So I guess I started from there, and then I had my phase where I wanted to kind of I kind of got into your more technically proficient cats, and I kind of went that route for a while, but this was all in my search, to find myself, and where I found myself was in this band. That's when I really settled in. That first record, we found something, and we're like, wow, this is the shit. This is something different. This is something that feels right, and it was something that we felt completely comfortable doing because it was natural, and we found a place together, and we created something out of it, and that's a fucking cool thing.
Absolutely.
And so that's where it really began, and it's just kind of grown from there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I mean, there is a lot of acoustic on the record. I mean, are you a real acoustic guitar player? I mean,
I think I've become more so over the years.
Because it takes a real technique to play it. I mean, it's not like electric guitar.
Yeah.
You just,
it's different. You got to definitely deal with it a little bit more. It's. I was taught something once by my choir teacher in high school. She said it's much harder to sing slow and delicate than it is to sing loud and fucking and harsh. It's a lot more difficult to pull back and still have that feel because it than just kind of belt it out and fucking blast it out. And that makes a lot of sense to playing as well and to acoustic. But I'd say that it's probably grown more. If you would have talked to me at 21 and 22, like, fuck acoustic, I totally wanted distortion and fucking I wanted to be blown off the stage by my amp behind me, and I still love that. There's nothing like plugging into a fucking sack and just fucking that's the shit. But you learn to appreciate other things, and so as you grow, hopefully you learn to appreciate other things, and also you let your Is it catching?
Yeah.
Also, well, I guess that's what it is. I'm just more open to things.
So,
I mean, there's piano on the record.
There's horns.
There's a lot of different stuff that maybe I haven't worked with before, and I'm so interested in doing stuff that I haven't done before. And I think Alice always had a strong tradition of that, not trying to repeat ourselves. I remember when we came out with the record after Dirt, we did Jar of Flies, and that was received really well, but it was almost a different thing. And then we did the Alice in Chains record, which is a very heavy record, but there was some more acoustic stuff on that. But I remember people being bummed out because it wasn't Dirt number 2, That record was really big for a lot of people, and I mean that more in an impact way, even though it did so well. That record still to this day is such a brutal fucking record, and I put that thing on a few months ago. I really, as time goes by, you've played the song so many times and stuff, you don't really listen to your shit anymore, except for maybe your current shit that you're working on. I'm a big listener and a big fan of our band too. So, and I put that record on, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, this is so fucking brutal. It's the only word I can think of. It's so brutal. It's just big and it fucking hurts, And it's just beautiful. It's fucking cool.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like the thing that Zeppelin did. I mean, they're one of the few bands I think that were able to pull that off.
Yeah.
The first album, the big electric thing, the second record, a little, well, actually, there's some acoustic stuff on the first record, and the third record, all the acoustic stuff. The fourth record,
they could fucking be heavy as fuck, and they could be really delicate too, and beautiful at both. Yeah. I love Zeppelin, I grew up listening to that too.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I can hear a lot of Jimmy Page in your playing. Not that you sound like Jimmy Page, but it's just an attitude or technique or a.
I take that as a compliment, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's one of my heroes, And
Pete Townsend, I hear a lot of that rhythm thing and the way the Who would mix the electrics and the acoustics. Right. I mean, I thought you did that really cool.
Cool.
Without it sounding like I'm going to play an acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
Power chords over the top.
Right.
We've all heard that stuff before.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's cool. So I mean, how do the songs build? I mean, is acoustic go down first?
I guess it really depends on the song. Like a song like Heaven Beside You, I wrote on an acoustic. Between, I wrote it on an acoustic. What else did I?
Cut You In, the first single.
Cut You In, I wrote on an electric, but I played it acoustically.
Really? Yeah. Right, because there's acoustic.
It was just, I just picked up my guitar that I actually made in high school. It's got a boogie body neck on it, and was slated to be sold to Eddie Van Halen actually once, and I kind of nicked it out of a box for like $20 off of the dude that was working
No
at
shit.
that.
when Ed was putting his guitars together.
He bought a lot of stuff from
right, the guy.
Warmouth and Boogie Bodies,
Right,
Lynn Ellsworth.
Lynn Ellsworth,
Yeah,
I talked to
Ellsworth,
him.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
really.
Ellsworth, and that was in Puyallup, and I grew up in Spanaway. That was the next town over. So I would ride my bike or hitchhike or whatever to get over there just to sand guitars and be around that, you know. Especially since Eddie Van Halen played them, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So are there some synths on that on that song? Cut You In? Are there some
There's no synths, but there are organs and pianos.
organs and pianos?
Not on that song, but on the record.
Yeah. No, I mean
No,
on that song, were there any
it's a
synths?
slide.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's a slide. It's a slide doubled with the horns. With I think Angelo did like a low track. He did a shitload of tracks, and we just kind of blended them in. He played all kinds of different horns. You know, your bari sax, alto sax. He played some clarinet here and there. So you can hear some of that on the end of Cold Piece. But on Cut You In, it's a slide.
Is that what that is?
It's a slide, and you're talking about the roto vibe with the guitar and the harmonics, the kind of the shimmery kind of thing in the verses.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of like an organ, but it's just a guitar and a roto vibe.
Roto vibe.
Yeah.
So was there one main guitar that you used? I mean, is there one main Cantrell guitar?
I used a shitload of guitars.
You did?
I used my G&L, which has got the naked chick in the blue dress on it, and the checkers and the KSW rocks all over down the front. But I use that. I mean, that's my main guitar. That's my comfortable. That's my baby. I've had it since I was 19, and there's so much of me in that thing, you know, and so much of it in me. But on this record, I use more guitars than I've ever used on any record, and I think on every record I kind of expand out a little bit more, you know. And like I said, I talked about earlier that you kind of grow in appreciation, and also you get a little more willing to kind of reach out and try other things. And man, we used all kinds of stuff. We used a lot of the G&Ls were the main guitars on a lot of stuff, but I like to double tracks left and right and hard left, at least on your rhythms a lot, and throw some stuff up the middle and some color shit on the side sometimes. But what we will do is generally we never use the same guitar twice, even if it's on the same song.
Oh, really?
We'll use like one amp, one guitar on one side, another guitar, another amp on another, so it's got the different blend. Early on, and some on this record and some on the earlier records, we would do the same guitar, same amp, so you just got that fucking it's tight as a motherfucker, moving air type thing. But the way these songs were almost seemed, I think a lot of my influences came out more as far as what I appreciate. Like, I mean, this record, I could hear parts of this coming out in like 1973 or 4 or something, you know what I mean? It's like, there's a lot of those qualities to it, and this is music that I really enjoy, you know, and so I think in that way, I think that always comes through in the stuff that I do. I think it's pretty, and I'm pretty honest about it. I'm it's like it didn't all come from me. I got it from somewhere else, and I borrowed it from other people. And I had some good teachers. I had Jimmy Page, fucking Jimi Hendrix, fucking David Gilmour. I could go on and on. These guys were my teachers. Whether they know it or not. And that's how I look at it.
Did you ever know about a band called Spirit? You ever fan of Randy California?
Yeah, I heard Spirit, yeah.
You should really check him out because he was a big fan of Hendrix, spent a lot of time with Hendrix, and a lot of those little things that you do, like a lot of those real thin guitar little solo things, a lot of those fill things, what I call noodle guitar parts.
Sure.
He did anyway. I was just wondering if he was somebody you ever listened to, but
I haven't listened to him, but I've heard of it.
You'd really love what he does.
Cool.
He used to use those clear Ampeg guitars and a little fuzz tone that used to plug in.
Anyway,
right,
yeah.
But because I can see you specifically. I mean, going for different kind of real compressed fuzz sounds and these little shimmering little things and the slides and stuff. Really cool.
You only get to do it once, man. You only get to do your record once. So, but go balls out on the motherfucker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, if you can cut the song live. Sean and I and a bass player cut the song. Everybody starts with your basic track, and if you can play it there, if you can play it and sing it, you can deal with it later. There's certain parts you can kind of coordinate, and maybe you can get away with not having a few things here. But on a record, you're gonna do it once, man. So do it fucking right and go fucking balls out, man. Make it something spectacular, man. That's your shot. Who knows if you get another fucking shot? That's right. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody's gonna fucking. I don't know anybody that's got a crystal ball on life, you know, to tell you what's going on. So when I've got a shot to do a record, I'm going to do the best fucking record I can do, and I'm going to take it as far as I can take it. But I'm not within the bounds of what the songs need.
I understand.
You know.
I understand.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what is the Jerry Cantrell guitar sound?
What is the sound?
Yeah.
Boy. And he's asking me. It'd probably be better answered by somebody else, I guess. I'd say there's, but that's really tough. I think that.
I mean, is it pretty high endy?
I don't think so. I think there's a lot of. I think it's more of a low to mid thing.
Low to mid.
You know, I think there's a lot of. It moves a lot of air. It's warmth. There's ferocity. It's got teeth. You know what I mean? It's got teeth, but it's got muscle too. You know, and it can be gentle as well as tear your face off. You know, petting a fucking lion. You know, petting a fucking panther. You know. You know, at the right moment, he could be mellow, but it could turn around and fucking take your face off too. I guess. That's good, petting a panther.
Did Toby Wright? I mean, bring some of that out.
Toby's a great producer. You know, I've worked with two in my life, and I consider them two of the best: Dave Jordan and Toby Wright. And what that is not necessarily fucking with your sound or trying to change what you do, but allowing you to be more of yourself than maybe you even know. And that's a really cool quality, man, and it's a really rare thing in a lot of producers, even though a lot of producers are really great. I think Bob Rock does a great job with Metallica, bringing out tones out of those guys. I've heard regardless of what people think of the material they're playing or whatever, their tones have become fucking just more amazing every time I hear. You know, I mean, it's a good combo, you know, Bob Rock and those guys, in my opinion, tone-wise. I mean, a lot of their they've always had really cool tone, but some of the shit they got going on is amazing, and I think I can see that in him as a producer and how he works with them, and just by briefly talking to him a few times and knowing those guys. But I would say that, Toby definitely has a part in that, but I don't know what he does or how he does it, but you know, we've been working together for a long time, and we've done some really good work together, and he's always been a part of all of that stuff. Sure. Yeah. Cool. It's definitely a big credit to him as well as us. You know, it's a good mix.
Definitely. Yeah. So I mean, it sounds like settling down. I mean, is that a fretless bass he's playing?
Yeah, that's Norwood Fisher.
Man.
Yeah.
That is fucking.
Norwood
great.
Is the shit, dude.
There's piano and acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
I think you're playing some
there's
slide.
I think there's some organ on there too.
Is there? Are you playing acoustic slide on there? I couldn't tell. Electric slide or is there slide? Sometimes it was hard to tell.
No, it's just bendy. There's some bendy acoustic guitar in there, and then the power chords and the chorus, and there's there's organ on top of the piano too.
Is there?
A Hammond B3, yeah, which I also sang through on Breaks My Back.
The Leslie.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
I love that. And that to me, that struck me as like a real John Lennon thing.
Cool.
Yeah. Right. I mean, keep the light on. Is that a mandolin you're strumming at the end of that thing? There's like that fade, and then he goes into the big ending thing, but it's not a mandolin.
That's what I intended it to kind of sound like.
It's like a high-strung guitar or something.
And I intended it to. I intended to actually play a mandolin
Did
type
you really?
thing on that, or some, so that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But I think I tried it and it didn't sound worth a shit, you know.
Really?
So we actually used a guitar to do that line.
Wow.
And I think what we might have used was some sort of a dobro. It wasn't a dobro. What the fuck was
National?
it? It might have been something in that vein. It's really hard for me to grab back right now. We document everything that we use.
Oh, you do?
So someday we'll fucking turn all this shit out.
Cool.
What exactly we used, and I mean, from amp to setting to whatever. I mean, we've documented every record we've ever done that way.
Have you really?
So it's all in a book somewhere.
Yeah.
And Toby's holding on to it tight. But we've got volumes and volumes of that stuff. But I think it was a guitar that we did on that track. I'm pretty sure. I'd say about 90% sure.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you exactly what guitar it was. It was some sort of an acoustic, I believe. I want to say it's kind of like it wasn't quite a dobro and it wasn't quite a National, but it was a wood front guitar, but it had that kind of sound like a National and a dobro, but it still kind of had like a mandolin thing to it too. There's a name for it, and it's on the tip of my tongue, and I can't fucking remember it for the life
Cool.
of me.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I love those little things like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you set up for those little moments. You know,
And some of those
cool.
things were, I think looking back at it later, I think a lot of maybe you wouldn't expect some of these things to be there.
Oh, absolutely not.
You know,
That's
and
what makes
they're
it so
unexpected yet unobtrusive at the same time. you know.
Exactly.
That's a fucking fine line. You know, if you can-
Composition. I mean,
yeah.
it's,
Right.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
that's what was really great about this record. There was a lot of experimentation. We broke down some fences and went into some pastures we ain't been in before, but we didn't get too far away where you couldn't spot us. You know, okay, he's right there. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Exactly.
we didn't go too far out of sight. You know, so.
Yeah. And heard a long time. Is that an open tuning? Do you use open tuning stuff?
Mhm.
It is?
Yeah.
That's cool.
And that I did some slide work on.
Slide, yeah.
Total fucking really cool stuff. Reminds me of Joe Walsh type stuff.
Oh,
I'm
does it?
kind of listening to it. Always
Yeah.
reminds me of Joe Walsh when I listen to that song. I love his playing too.
Yeah, he's cool. And Cold Piece is kind of like the real outside thing.
Yeah.
Horns and piano and
Yeah.
generally saxes.
It's like the end. It just seemed like, I mean, it would seem like an ender to me, you know, like an album ender, and it's fucking out there. You
Yeah.
know?
I didn't write the title down. The Japanese track, the 14th track or 13th track.
Oh, Leave Me Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was from the Cable Guy soundtrack, the Jim Carrey movie.
Oh, was it really?
That we did a few years back. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I should do my homework.
Yeah, we did it.
Oh.
We did it a little quick. The production, the way that we put that together, I think it could be done a little better. But I think Toby remixed that track, so I don't think I've even heard that
really?
version of it since he fucked with it again. I'd like to hear it again. See if he did a good job. I kind of left it up to him. I was dude, just remix it. He's like, yeah, it needs to be remixed. So.
So what happens? Alice in Chains calls tomorrow, and you're all gonna go back to the studio.
We could.
And this record goes to number 4 with a bullet. You got to go out on the road with this. What happens?
Well, that situation won't happen. So.
I don't know.
But then again, it could. You know, I mean, I never say never. You know, and it's one thing I've learned in this band is not to expect or not to figure out where we're gonna be from fucking next day or one day to the next. It's a situation that I know will not happen, and that's why I did the record. I didn't do the record because I was unhappy with what we were doing with Alice. I knew we had the time, so I did it. So, you know, I mean, that's a situation that won't occur. So there's really no answer to that.
I see.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you like to go out on the road with this?
I plan on it.
You do?
I'm in the process of starting. We've kind of done it in pieces, and I've kind of I guess been reintroducing myself, I guess, back into this. You know, because we had some inactivity for a while there, and I really didn't do anything. I really had no desire to, you know, and it's a new and different thing, like we talked about at the beginning, and so we've done a little bit of audition stuff here and there, and we're going to go through another round here coming up pretty quick.
So
And-
it won't be the guys on the record then?
Oh no, they've all got their shit. You know, they're all in other bands.
Yeah.
So I'd love it to be that way. It would be fun. Number one, and they're great players. You know, I mean, that's another thing I guess I gotta say. It's like the players I had on this record. Hey, okay, okay. The players I had on this record are badass. You know, they're the best players
They really were.
around, in my opinion, and they're from bands I've always respected, let alone being friends with all these guys, you know, so it would be a cool thing, but it's just an impossibility. That's not to say you wouldn't see some of these guys popping up from time to time, and they all have an open invitation to do so at any time. But yeah, I'm starting from scratch again, and so hey, there's Rick Rubin.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm starting over again. You know, it's this record's been kind of like that. You know, it's like finish this, but then kind of start over again and get it out. So this is the last piece of the puzzle I'm working on, and I plan on going out and playing on it. So
Great. That's cool, man.
cool, excellent, good interview.
I'm a Tonechaser. That thing you hear in your head that you just can't quite get.
Hello, everybody. You guys all good? Tonechaser, the audiobook, Volume 2, Van Halen's Voices. So there's some amazing stuff in there, stuff you guys have never heard, stuff I have never posted anywhere. You can order it now at mysoundwise.com. mysoundwise.com, that anybody who has already purchased the first audiobook, you will receive the second audiobook for free, gratis, no charge. My small thank you for supporting me all these years.
You know, do something that's along the lines of what he's doing. The first time around, and then next time, you know. And then at the end you go, you know, what I mean?